What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Joannis or Joe Hatagwa. I'm a Sierra Leonean American living here in Accra, Ghana. I'm back in Ghana, guys, as you can see. And if you want to know about Ghana's new really interesting strict SIM card registration situation and the vaccine mandate, then this is the video for you. All right. So we are live on all platforms. We're live on Instagram, we're live on Facebook, and we're live on YouTube. So we're gonna give some time for people to join so we can talk a little bit about what is going on here in Ghana. I just landed here yesterday. I always travel on Sundays, it seems, and the last time I did a live from a new city, it was when I had just arrived in Sierra Leone. Now I just arrived back in Ghana, and we got some updates for you guys. If you're planning to come out here, there's some things you need to know before you come. All right, cool. So before we get into it, we'll do a little bit of housekeeping. But first, I need to know if you guys can hear me. Can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? Let me know on Instagram. Let me know on Facebook. Can you hear me? I see some new names I don't recognize on Instagram. So what's up, guys? You guys on YouTube and Facebook, can you guys hear me? Let me know. Okay, so good. Instagram says they can hear me. YouTube, can you guys hear me? Things look a little bit delayed, and the sound seems a little bit off. So let me know if you can hear me. IG can hear me. YouTube, let me know. Give me a thumbs up, anybody on YouTube, so I know that you guys can hear me. In the meantime, for those of you who are new, welcome to the channel. As I mentioned at the onset, my name is Joannis or Joe. I also go by Joe Hatagwa. I am a Sierra Leonean American. I do live currently in Ghana. I'm a resident of Ghana, but I am a dual citizen between the United States and Sierra Leone. All right, cool. It looks like you guys can hear me on YouTube. Great. So I'm back in Ghana now, and perfectly clear. It says Empress Queen says on Instagram. Great. So I'm back in Ghana now, and man, it's been interesting. There's this new SIM card registration going on, and I'll let you guys know a little bit about that and what that means. And then there's also a vaccine mandate. You cannot enter the country without a vaccine card. And so you do have to show it. I hear that there are some exceptions, and I have not been able to find out what those were. But apparently there are some exceptions, and some people have been able to get around it. I don't know how they got it done and who's been able to get it done. But, you know, I've been told that there are exceptions. All right, cool. So if you're watching on Instagram and you want to go to the YouTube live, because I will be sharing my screen and just reading off some of the information from some of these stories and what's going on and the mandates and all of that, feel free to go over to the YouTube live. I pinned it there in the comments on Instagram. And then those of you on YouTube, just keep letting me know if you guys can hear me, because from what I can see, it looks like my connection is not the greatest. I am currently using my MiFi, not my normal broadband Wi-Fi at the house. And so there has been a little bit of challenges connecting to the internet today. I've been working from home today, and there has been some challenges. All right, looks like some people are starting to join on Instagram and YouTube. So we will get started here in a second. So in the meantime, let me update you guys on what's going on with the content. So as you guys can see, I've only been posting one video per week. I've been going live, just going live once per week, no other posts. I got a bunch of content coming for you guys very, very soon. This week will be the first week that I start again with 3 videos this week. So Wednesday, I plan to put out my weekly, well now it's monthly, but it's going to go back to being weekly, but it'll be from the last month in Sierra Leone, give you guys an update of everything that happened over the last month. At the beginning of the new year, I gave you guys an update of everything that happened in December. Once I got to Sierra Leone, now I have the full month to tell you what life was like the last month in Sierra Leone. Making progress on the house, and really, you know, enjoying what last bit of time I could while I was there. But there's a lot to catch you guys up on. I mean, people have a lot of questions about this house and how it's been going, and so I want to make sure that I share that with you guys. I'm hearing that it's freezing. The screen is freezing on Instagram Live. Let me know if it keeps freezing. Go to the YouTube Live if you see it freezing on Instagram Live. My connection seems to be a little bit better from the YouTube Live. There's always less people on the Instagram Live anyway. There's more people on the YouTube Live. So if you want to see what people are commenting on the YouTube Live, then maybe just go to the YouTube Live, watch it from there. There's going to be, I think the connection's a little bit better there. Okay. All right. So what do we got? So I'm back in Ghana. So let's talk. Oh, let me get through the content really quickly. So what I'm planning is I will be doing the last month in Sierra Leone. I'm going to be doing a post on that, and then I'm going to be doing a post on Big Market. And if I don't get to that, I'll at least be doing another live. So if you guys remember, if you guys watched the video I did, 10 things you should know before going to Sierra Leone, with Mariama Forbes, her and I are doing a live about dating in Africa, specifically Sierra Leone and Ghana, what life has been like for me dating here and my experience. It's been interesting. So you guys can put all your questions in the chat now if you want, and we'll answer them later. I'll also start promoting it on Instagram and on YouTube, so you guys can send yours. The month of February, most of my content is going to be centered around relationships on the continent, love and life on the continent, because it is the month of love and whatever, right? Like Valentine's Day. So we'll be talking a lot about that in my content this month. And so my lives will probably be centered a bit about that, around that. I am going to do a video about dating apps using Instagram. Well, Instagram is basically a dating app too, but using Tinder and Bumble here. So all of that's coming. But that is not the purpose of today's discussion. Just wanted to make sure I gave you all of that while people started to join. So Keenan Mitchell, what's up? What's up? Thank you. I just got back, so I did have safe travels. I did land safely. But head over to the YouTube Live if you want to watch it live. It should be better there. Okay, so Jose Cruz is saying, before we get started, he said, at school, got you in the ear. Don't make me laugh. Bring that real like always. Oh, okay, got you. Yeah. I'll try not to make you laugh. I know you're at school. But I can't help it. Sometimes I say things apparently that can be funny. I've been told that when I don't even try. But yeah, so Jose, shout out to you for having me in your ear while you're at school. I love the dedication and always listening live. All right, cool. So let's get into today's content. So people are wondering, like, what is everything going on here in Ghana, right? So the first thing I'll talk about is the SIM card registration. So if you guys at all are not familiar, when you get a phone here in Ghana, it's very different than when you're in the US. And from what I understand, different from in the UK and mostly in the West. So when you get a phone, right, most places you get a phone, they just ask you for your information. They don't even always validate that information with ID, right? They ask you for your address, your name, your phone number, whatever. That's why people in the US, you'll see these movies like The Wire, or TV shows like The Wire, and these different movies and stuff where people have these burner phones, right? Think about even that show that was on Netflix. What was it called? House of Cards, right? He had a burner phone. Everybody has these burner phones, right? At least in the movies. And so it's because you don't really have to declare who you actually are when you purchase a phone in the United States. It's just how it works. That is not the case here. When you purchase your phone and you get your phone plan, you have to give them either your passport or your local ID. Now, I have a residence card, or sorry, a resident non-citizen card, which I've showed you guys this before, but it also works as kind of like an ECOWAS ID. It's a non-citizen ID. Let me see if I can show it to you guys without any of my numbers on it. Yeah, let's see. So this is the non-citizen ID. So I have this non-citizen ID, right? That it basically is my ID in this country, right? So I don't have to carry around my passport or anything like that if I ever need my ID. Well, this is required to get a phone, either that or your passport. But now you're actually registering it with your ID and re-registering it with the government. And so let me explain what that means and what their reasoning behind it is, because I found it interesting, to say the least, but I'm not used to something like this. So let me know what you guys think of this. But here was the explanation for why they've gone about requiring you re-register your card. So first of all, they extended the SIM deadline because not everybody's done it, because it's a little bit of a process. You have to actually go. You can do it from your phone, at least a portion of it, but you actually have to go to a Vodafone registered agent or a Vodafone office to register your SIM. So here's what it says. Last year, the government, through the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization, gave a directive that all subscriber identity modules, or SIM cards, should be registered over a 6-month period spanning October 1st, 2021 to March 31st, 2022, using the Ghana card, using your Ghana ID card, right? This is to synchronize the details of one's Ghana card, a national identification card, with those used for the SIM registration, to avoid the situation where some unscrupulous persons acquire a number of SIM cards using different unverified details so they can avoid being found out when they perpetrate crime. The initiative is therefore meant to stem the increasing incidence of fraud using the phone, and also to monitor and track down persons who would use their phones in all manner of criminal activities. Now, why is that important? For me, for instance, if you guys might remember, I got scammed a couple months ago, right? A friend of mine was trying to buy wigs for her business, and I got scammed. I sent the cash. They took the money, and of course, we were not able to apprehend them in any way. And so this would eliminate that, because at the very least, maybe it wouldn't eliminate it, but it would at least allow me to identify who the actual person was who did the scamming, right? However, there is a little bit of like a kind of like an invasion of privacy, some people feel, right? But anyway, let me move on in this article to explain what they're saying. So in other words, it's meant to secure the country's cyberspace. Unfortunately, as it is the case that Ghanaians always want to do things on the verge of deadlines, 3 months are gone, and it is now that people are serious with the directive. It is now commonplace to see people in long queues at the various telecommunications offices and centers around Accra, hoping to have their SIM cards registered. I'm one of those people, but to be fair, I was out of the country, but I was at Vodafone office for 2 hours today, trying to get stuff done. So, so anyway, this is this new directive. So let me know what you guys think about this, right? So you guys understand now that you have to register your SIM card with your ID card, and that is now registered with the federal government here in Ghana. One, if you guys were here, would you do it? Or would you just never get a local phone number and just use your current phone number for whatever country you're from and just always use WhatsApp? Or would you guys actually go through the process of doing it? And if they instituted it in the US, how would you feel? Because basically what's supposed to happen is they're going to actually discontinue the use of those phones. So those phone numbers will no longer be in use if you do not comply with this request or with this mandate. You just won't be able to use your phone. So what do you guys think about this? And let me know if you have any questions about what the process was like. Let me go through the process actually while I wait for you guys' thoughts on this. You think this is good? You think this is bad? You think it's weird? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. But let me tell you what the process was like when I first did it. So I went to Vodafone today. First things first is they have to register the card again, and then after that you go through another process where they actually have to scan your card to make sure it goes with the registration. And then you also have to do your biometrics, meaning your fingerprints. They take pictures of your fingerprints and share that. So that all goes along with it. So what are your thoughts on that? Now let's hear a couple people. So Makia says, yes, I got a Ghana card last month and it was surprisingly quick when I went. So you did the registration, Makia. So you did the registration already. So she did it last month. Any other thoughts and comments? Let's see. I am Mr. Marcus. Mr. Marcus. There's there was a popular person in the adult entertainment world named Mr. Marcus for a while. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. I'm sure you probably do know who that was. But yeah, anyway, that was a thing for a while. Anyway, there's a workaround for everything in Ghana. I'm sure there is. I just don't know how you would do it. But somebody was there today saying that there has to be a workaround. Maybe there's a workaround. I mean, maybe you could potentially, I don't know how you would do it, but I mean, people say that all the time. There's a workaround for everything. This one seems pretty ironclad. I don't know how there would be a workaround for this, but okay. And so I am Mr. Marcus says, yeah, he loves to wear fitted caps. Yeah, exactly. That is the Mr. Marcus that I was referring to. So you're familiar. Yeah. So that was a time. That was a time, early 2000s. Before anyway, not to get off on a tangent. So thoughts, anybody's thoughts on this new mandate? Does anybody have any thoughts on this? Does it even matter to you guys? Do you think it would be easy to comply, no issues? I mean, I complied, obviously, because I want to continue using my phone. Excuse me. Okay. Nene Brizas from Brazil says, what's up? What's up, Nene? Makia says, I went with a friend in the military. He was in uniform, so that might have aided to the speedy registration. Nice. Yeah, I mean, I think that does help for sure. I saw somebody kind of skip the line because he was there with someone in uniform. Now I got the hiccups, which is strange. He did it with someone in uniform and he did get through quickly. Unfortunately, it did not. Okay, so James Bond. First of all, I love the name, and for this particular topic, it's interesting. So what does James Bond say? So James Bond says this has nothing to do with privacy. Anyone against has something to hide. Okay, there you go. Anyone against it has something to hide, he says. Possibly so. I can say for sure, I think one of the things that I think people don't love about this kind of thing is just the potential for surveillance. There's an argument called the slippery slope argument. And I don't always have this, I don't always side on the people who argue this point, but I do think it is something that should be looked at. So the slippery slope argument in this case means when they start with this, how far do they go, right? It could get more of a slippery slope, meaning like they could start making you register other things. You may have to, because if you know anything about like China, for instance, right, where that's more of a surveillance state country, where a lot of the things that they do are done in the name of safety, right? If you think about countries that have to deal with who have a lot of land borders that tend to end up at war or been at war a lot through their history, they tend to have a lot of very strict rules. Think about the Middle East, right? And how many of those countries have very, very strict rules, right? It becomes a part of the way of life. Everyone gets used to it and is okay with it. But that means that you slowly eat away at your potential privacy. So that is one of the things that come up in these kinds of discussions. Not saying that I necessarily believe that. I think for me, it is what it is. Like at this point, it's, you have to register your card. You have to register your card. It's not a big deal to me. But I have heard people make that argument of the slippery slope. Like, what does that mean in the future? Will we have more things like this? So I am Mr. Marcus is saying, what about visitors on holiday? I think this only matters if you are getting a phone here. If you're getting a phone, if you're getting a SIM card, the SIM card has to be registered, right? So I'm sure that when you buy the SIM card at the Vodafone, they'll immediately do that registration process. So it's not like you have to get it re-registered, right? They'll just do it at that point in time, but they'll have to do this time. What's different is that they'll get your biometrics. So they'll take pictures of your fingers for your fingerprints. Flower Child says fingerprints seems extreme. People don't have rights anymore. I mean, look, I think that's the interesting thing, right? Is as that level of detail. But look, you know, like it should potentially eliminate some of the 419ers, the Yahoo boys, as they call them, the folks that are into fraud here and cybercrime. It should eliminate some of it. I don't know if it'll eliminate all of it, but it should eliminate some of it. So Mr. Bounce Los Angeles joined. What's up, Mr. Bounce Los Angeles? Salute to you. Disco Dan is in the building. What's up, Disco Dan? And Royalty's in the building. What's up, Royalty? So we're talking about the registration of your SIM cards and attaching it to your Ghana ID and your biometrics, your fingerprints. These 4 fingers and these 4 fingers get pictures taken of, and they are part of the database that they have to go along with your phone. And so I was just talking about the potential for there being a slippery slope. You know, that's an argument that some people have made about privacy. And there's some fear that they could potentially go further with that, especially when you think about how China has done things similar to this and have, you know, people have gotten used to it. Once you get used to a certain level, then the next level and then the next level doesn't seem so invasive, right? Because you've already gone a step further and the Overton window starts to open and to shift, right? Okay, so Disco Dan is saying, can a Ghanaian register multiple SIMs in their name? Yes, you can. So I'm actually going to register at least 2 SIMs because I have a MTN and a Vodafone. So my MTN SIM card does need to be registered. So yes, you can register multiple SIMs in your name. Good question. Wealthy Merchant says, what do you think about Time Magazine voting Accra as the best destination in Africa for travelers? Yeah, that was interesting. I did see that. Yeah, that's a good point. So before we kind of keep going with the topic at hand, yeah, what do I think about it? I mean, I think it's definitely the most popular destination over the last couple of years because of the year of return. I think that's really helped to build it up. I mean, if you think about it, right, the year of return, 500,000 visas were issued, and a bunch of people who didn't need visas went, like myself and all my friends from Sierra Leone, and then other people from Nigeria who are Nigerian who showed up. So, and other neighboring countries, right? So, I definitely think that led to it becoming more popular. And then, of course, last year the estimate was about 150,000. So it seems interesting. I don't know how to compare it to anything else because I haven't been to South Africa, I haven't been to Kenya, some of the other really popular tourist destinations. But I will say, though, it's always a good time when the diasporans are in town. You know, places that aren't actually open up, like rooftops in certain places. They set up tables, bars, buy alcohol, all kinds of stuff to set stuff up. So there's always something to do, and it's a good time for sure. And then, of course, this is one of those places where they've done a good job at really promoting a lot of what they do. And by the way, I think Ivy Prosper should get a lot of credit for being a big part of that because she definitely, you know, she joins the live sometimes, as you guys might know. She's interviewed me and I've interviewed her. And, you know, she runs social media for the year of return and beyond the return. And she's done a really good job of capturing all the moments when all those people from the diaspora come, especially the celebrities, because those people are influencers and people decide to come here because of those people. So I thought it was interesting. I can't dispute it because in terms of the countries that I visited, I think it's definitely up there. I mean, I've only been to Egypt, Sierra Leone, and Ghana, so I really can't really speak to any other countries and why they might feel like they're a better destination. But it was interesting for sure. Hope that answers your question. A Taste of Kath says, I'm guessing your name is Kathy. People happily give their fingerprint to Apple. That's true. Now, this is a very interesting topic of discussion. So I've had this conversation with a friend of mine who's a little bit of a conspiracy theorist. And my question has always been to him, who would you rather give your personal details to, a government or to a private enterprise, a business, who, by the way, if a warrant is served, and they don't always need a warrant, they can ask for private citizens' information anyway. A government can. So that's true. People do give their fingerprints to Apple. Now, in all fairness, as far as I understand, the fingerprint is only supposed to be for that device. It doesn't get stored anywhere else, but I could be wrong. Who knows? It could be stored in their systems. But that's why you have to, with every new phone, you have to redo your fingerprint. It doesn't automatically say, oh, this fingerprint is associated with this profile and automatically opens it for every new phone. But that is a good point, though. At the very least, you're putting it in a phone for permanent use with that device. A lot of people do. So what's the difference between giving that to a government? I don't know. I mean, that's the question that people would have to ask themselves. A Taste of Kath does say Nigeria does have a similar system called the BVN for opening a bank account. You have to give your biometrics. Yeah. And you do in Sierra Leone too, and I think in Ghana too as well. But that makes sense, especially because because of the Yahoo Boys and the 419ers, right? I could see why they would do that with bank accounts for sure. James Bond said, I am against the vaccine mandate, but the SIM registration is a good idea. It has nothing to do with privacy. They're trying to limit mobile fraud. There you go. So there's James Bond, and we'll get to the vaccine mandate in a second. So Spirit Warrior says, making first trip to Sierra Leone to get my citizenship. Can you provide contact on the ground? Ooh, that's tough. Contact on the ground. There are different organizations you might want to reach out to. Reach out to the folks at African Ancestry because they brought a bunch of people there. Apparently 15,000 total people traveled to Sierra Leone that's past December, who all brought Omicron with them, by the way. As you guys know, I got Omicron for a second and I was out for about a week. But yeah, so I would reach out to folks like the African Ancestry folks. They have like a bunch of stuff going on in Sierra Leone to try to help. Are you going with the group or are you going by yourself? Let me know. Oh, okay. So Spear Warrior says a driver for a guide. Okay, so there's two different things, right? So a driver for sure. I know two companies that you can utilize. I would prefer one over the other. So I can just send me a message, or a private message, or just comment on the video once it posts, once the replay posts. And I will put under there the contact information for the driver, the company that you can use to reach out to. Just two different companies. The rental car companies, if you want an SUV with AC up to date within the last 5 years or 10-year vehicle, it's about $60 a day. I heard there are smaller vehicles, so you can just talk to these guys and see if they have smaller vehicles. We had a pretty large group, or a group that we assumed was going to be large, so we needed more size, larger size vehicles for our transportation needs. But it does add up. It's like $60 a day. So whatever you're paying and what you're staying, plus the $60 a day to rent the car and the driver, that might be your cost for the day in Sierra Leone. Now, a guide, there are so you want to go to VSL.com, visit SierraLeone.com. I just typed it in here. These guys are, and I'm shouting them out. I haven't met the founder yet. I'm supposed to be meeting him. I was supposed to interview him actually, but we never got around to doing it. But these guys at VSL are really good at helping you know what's going on and giving city tours and a bunch of other really cool stuff. They're basically like a travel agency, not a travel agency, but like travel packages kind of company, right? They'll show you around all the stuff that you can do. All right, now let's get back to this vaccine. No, sorry, let's get back to the SIM card registration before we move on to the vaccine mandate. So Spirit Warrior, just one more thing, is saying, I'm going alone. I found a tour guide that's reasonable, not doing all of the tour stuff. as I just want to do business. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, let's maybe definitely reach out to me, and let's see if maybe I can point you in the right direction for anything else, depending on what you're looking to do. Keenan Mitchell says, great info. Thanks, Keenan. All right, cool. Any other questions, comments on the SIM card registration? I got mine registered today. Took forever, but now it's done. All right, so let's talk about this vaccine mandate, because it's a very, very controversial topic in the United States right now. It had been expected for government employees to do it. There was supposed to be some incentives for businesses to do it. And it sounds like some of that stuff is getting rolled back and clawed back because there's been a really negative response to vaccine mandates in the United States, right? Because of personal freedoms, et cetera, right? It's a big thing in the United States. Here in Ghana, that is not the case. So let me just read what came out. So if you guys remember, I was in Sierra Leone for like the last month and a half, and I left to go to Sierra Leone on on December the 14th. All right. So just before I left, this news dropped. So let me share it with you guys and just read it through it so you guys can hear it. I mean, we talked about this a little bit, but I never really went through the details. So, message for U.S. citizens. This is from the U.S. Embassy in Ghana, but this doesn't apply to just U.S. citizens. This applies to anyone traveling to Ghana. It's just an official website that I decided to use to read this from. The Ghana Health Service has announced new vaccine requirements for all travelers to Ghana effective at midnight, 12 a.m. local time, December 12th, 2021. The following information is from Ghana Health Services press release. Travelers to Ghana, all persons 18 years old and above arriving in Ghana will be required to provide evidence of full vaccination for a COVID-19 vaccine. All unvaccinated Ghanaians and residents, technically I'm a resident, so if I fell under this, I fell into this particular category, technically, if I did, of Ghana, who are currently outside the country and intend to return within 14 days from midnight, December 12th, 2021, are exempted. That meant that from 14 days from December 12th, if you are a resident or a Ghanaian citizen, you could have entered back in the country without having to have been vaccinated or providing a vaccine card. However, you will be vaccinated on arrival at the airport in Ghana. So traveling out of Ghana, all Ghanaians traveling out of the country are to be fully vaccinated effective midnight, December 12th. So definition of fully vaccinated, of course, is a person is said to be fully vaccinated when he or she or they has taken a full dose of vaccines approved and registered by the Food and Drugs Authority, FDA of Ghana. What does that mean? You need at least 2 doses of AstraZeneca, Pfizer, Moderna, or Sputnik V to be declared fully vaccinated, or 1 dose of Johnson & Johnson vaccine is required to be declared fully vaccinated. That is what a fully vaccinated person means here to the Ghanaian authorities. Other arrival requirements remain unchanged. 72-hour negative PCR test requirement prior to travel remains in effect. Sorry to kick the phone here for those of you watching on Instagram Live. And completion of the health declaration form was in effect, and all persons who arrive to Ghana will undergo antigen testing at the airport. So you also get the antigen test at the airport when you arrive. Okay, so it looks like you guys lost me on YouTube for a little while. What did you miss? I was just basically saying that the vaccine mandate's in place. You have to be fully vaccinated, and you have to have a vaccine card to enter Ghana, whether you're a citizen or not, and a resident or not. It's just what it is. Okay, so it sounds like you guys lost me on YouTube. Let me know. You guys can hear me now again. So Spear Warrior said, okay, so Flower Child said I could hear the entire time. Good. Okay. And Spear Warrior says, not going to Ghana until this changes. Okay. And also said I got it all on YouTube. Okay, so maybe it was the Instagram live where there was okay, so it's on Instagram live where it's having some challenges. Yeah, so that's why I'm always telling people to get on YouTube live, because for whatever reason, I think the way the connection works here, it has a hard time. So Flower Child says that J&J doses hit different. Yeah. So yeah, so to enter the country, you have to have a vaccine card, and it has to say that you've been fully vaccinated. So that is what you need in order to enter the country. So what do you guys think about that? You know, I put up a poll on my YouTube, and I asked this question, and people seem to have mixed responses. Let's pull up the poll so we can look at it together, so you guys can see what they were saying on the poll. Because I thought this was interesting. What do we got? Let's go to the community tab. Let's see. Because I think it's interesting to go through like what people said here. And if you guys agree or disagree, and were you guys some of those who actually were the ones who answered those questions? All right, so let's share my screen real quick, and you guys can see what the responses were on YouTube. And if you're watching on Instagram Live, just go to the YouTube Live, and you'll be able to see the screen. But I'm going to share my screen. I use dark mode on my computer because I'm trying to preserve my eyes. I stare at a computer screen all day long. So yeah, so you can see 4 weeks ago, I put up this poll, 85 votes. Okay, so it's now a requirement to get vaxxed to enter Ghana. Would you get vaxxed to enter Ghana? So 65% of the people who answered this said yes, they would. 28% said no, and 7% said, I don't know. So it seems like most people who join the lives say no, they wouldn't do it. But then some people on the lives do say they would. I mean, they anticipated 150,000 people were going to enter Ghana, and they all would have had to be fully vaccinated. I don't know how many people actually did come. I guess that maybe that would answer the question once I know that number, which is crazy to think just 10% of that is who went to Sierra Leone, which I guess makes sense because of the section, the size of the country. But anyway, so something to think about, right? A large number of people who are subscribers said yes, but there was that 28% that said no, and then 7% that said I don't know. Kwame says there has been another change with regards to the COVID issue in the 19th of January. Cicely says there has been changes to that December mandate. That is not the current policy. Okay, you know, I've heard that okay, so it says, okay, so Kwame is saying if you don't have the COVID vaccine, you have to stay at a COVID hotel for 7 days and come out. Oh, that came out on the 19th of January. I was trying to find that and I couldn't find that. And none of these sites updated those restrictions. So I saw somebody post that on Instagram, right? I don't know if that's where you guys saw this, but I saw somebody post that on Instagram, right? And then I was trying to find where that was, right? So like if you type in your Google search, vaccine mandate in Ghana, I could not find that information anywhere. So do you guys know where that article is, where you found that? Because I could not find it anywhere, and I was trying to find it. And everything that seems to be the most recent data is from the end of last year. So I know Cicely's saying it's important to constantly keep updated with the new rules and regulations. If you guys can share where this was, I'd love to pull it up. So James Bond is saying, I heard the forced vaccination on arrival is not anymore. You need full vaccination, but Ghana is not going to force vaccinate you, according to someone I spoke to in Ghana. Interesting. Okay, here's what I do know. When I landed, they asked you for your vaccine card. That was something that I did see that they were asking people for. They asked for a vaccine card. But if you guys know otherwise, and you know where the article is, just put it here, put it in the chat. Just put the article in the chat wherever you saw that article, or wherever you saw that information, because that I think that would be really good to have. 7-day quarantine if you don't take the jab. Yeah, so that's what I'm seeing that on Instagram, but I didn't see the article. Kwame, just put it in the chat. If there was an article or if there was something there, just put it in the chat. Okay, so Cicely's saying, look at the Ministry of Information on Facebook. So, okay, on Facebook, the Ministry of Information, this is the, I guess this is Ghana Ministry of Information on Facebook. Interesting. Okay, let's see. Is the page called Ministry of Information? Because I want to make sure I'm sharing that with the group here. So like, just send me a link to it if you guys can in the chat, or I'm about to just try to look it up now anyway. But if you guys have a link to it in the chat, for sure, send it, and I will pull it up so that I can show it. So what else are people saying? So I'm going to look it up, the ministry. So Ministry of Information on Facebook. Cicely, do you just have the link? The Ministry of Health in Ghana. Try Ministry of Health in Ghana on Facebook, or you just mean in Google? Let's try it. So we're going to do this in real time, guys. I want to make sure that I'm giving you the most up-to-date information before we get off this live, because this is a conversation that has been coming up a lot. And I know for sure that people are very curious about this. So I'm on Facebook right now as we speak. I'm getting on Facebook anyway. And let's see. So Ministry of Health in Ghana on Facebook. Let's see. Ministry of Health Ghana. Government organization. Let's see. 107,000 followers to this page. So I would imagine this is it. All right, so let's see. So I'm trying to see where this was. Again, do you guys have a link to this? It might be easier for me to just click on a link where you guys saw this. I'm looking at the page right now. Don't see anything specific to this. You said it came out on January. What date did you guys say the rules and regulations launched? On the 19th of January. All right, let's see. I see January 12th, the 19th. Minister's press briefing. Was it the audio? Is it the video, or was there actually any written commentary? Let's see. This is 55 minutes, so I'm not going to try to watch that. But something, so he did do a press briefing on the 19th. So is that what you're talking about when he spoke live? He did a live? Okay, Joy Online has something from the 19th. Okay, Kwame is saying Joy Online has something from the lights. So it's My Joy Online, right? MY Joy Online. All right, let's see. My Joy Online. Let's see. Let's go to it. Let's see. All right, so from the 19th, regional, let's see. Nothing's easy to find. You guys are giving me names of sites and names of groups, but no links. Nobody has a link to the story or the link to the page where you saw it. Nobody has a link. Share with me a link. I'm doing the searches right now in real time, and I feel like I'm having a hard time finding it. Let's see, vaccine mandate. Let's do the search for that on My Joy Online because I couldn't find it on the Facebook page. Vaccine mandate. I'm trying to do a search. Okay, nothing's the search isn't working on My Joy Online, of course. Popular news. Let's see. Fuel prices. Okay, search results for my vax. Okay. Okay. I see someone forwarded to you. Okay. They forwarded you the link, or did they forward you a screenshot? Okay, let's see. Is this article from the 19th? All right, I see an article here that says government will continue the vaccine mandate. This is from the 24th, and this seems like it's more internal. There was some concern from some doctors about this. Okay, so Kwame's saying he got a screenshot. James Bond keeps saying Ministry of Health. Yes, I understand that. But do we have an article from or a link to somewhere on the Ministry of Health where it says the that you're no longer required to have the vaccine to enter the country? Because that would be really good to have. I want to actually see if that screenshot, Kwame, and that screenshot, is there a link? Because like I said, I saw a screenshot too. And I saw it on a Instagram post. What I didn't see was the actual like a link to that article or to that data, right? Like to a page somewhere. So I think we're all looking for something official because I want to make sure that that is true actually, so that everybody doesn't feel like they have to have the vaccine to come here if that's no longer the case. I just want to make sure that it's actually something that we've seen. Okay, here we go. Kweku Spring sent me something. That's great. So My Joy Online, Ghana revises COVID-19 travel guidelines. There we go. So let me start typing that in. See, there we go. Now we got an article. GHS revises COVID. Let me just do that. See what shows, what pops up. Okay, here we go. January 19th, 2022. Let me share my screen. So now I can share this with everybody. So here's the new article, at least from My Joy Online, which is a local reputable source here. I actually know some people who help them advertise. So, which now that I say that, I'm seeing all these ads show up all over here. But I do know someone who helps them advertise on here. So the Ghana Health Service has announced some changes to the guidelines for Ghanaians entering the country through Kotoka International Airport, or KIA, per the earlier modification implemented during the Yuletide last year. Persons aged 18 years and above arriving in Ghana from December 12th were to provide proof of full vaccination. But addressing pressmen on Wednesday, Director General of GHS, Dr. Patrick, explained that the directive has been reviewed to make it more lenient. Now, unvaccinated or partially vaccinated Ghanaians and resident foreigners have been exempted from the requirement of full vaccination before traveling to Ghana. So, if you are a resident like myself, I technically can enter without having been vaccinated because I'm a resident. Or if you are a Ghanaian, you can enter the country without being vaccinated. You are now exempted from the requirement of full vaccination before traveling to Ghana. So he made this comment. Okay, he explained that persons who will be affected by the review are expected to take vaccination on arrival at KIA. In this regard, persons who refuse to accept the jab, okay, so refuse to accept it, you'll be forced to go on a mandatory 7-day quarantine at your own cost. This, according to the GHS Director General, forms part of measures to reduce the effects of the fourth wave of the pandemic in the country. Okay, so they're no longer forcing you to get the vaccine if you're a resident or if you are a Ghana citizen. You're not forced to have the vaccine. So you can come unvaccinated. You're not forced to have the vaccine. However, you do have to do a 7-day quarantine at your own expense. That does not speak to, however, people who are not residents or who are not Ghanaian citizens. It sounds to me like the vaccine mandate is still in effect for those folks. So this is good information to have, though. I'm glad that you guys see. This is why I love doing these lives. I get corrected and updated in real time with good information. So yeah. So those of you who are Ghanaian residents or Ghanaian citizens, you can enter the country without having been vaccinated, and you just have to be on a 7-day quarantine. So that's all it is. So that changes things a bit because it was definitely a lot stricter. But again, that's only for residents, Ghanaian travelers. And what they mean by that in this case is residents and Ghanaian citizens. So residents and Ghanaian citizens no longer need to have the vaccine in order to enter the country. But if you're not a citizen, I think you do still need the vaccine. They explicitly call out residents and citizens. They do not call out non-citizens or non-residents. All right, so let me stop sharing my screen. So Kwame says, oh, wow. Yeah, so I think it does affect some people who aren't citizens. And then iTuber says a good t-shirt idea that I would definitely buy is something with a Mende mask and Mende written in the Mende alphabet. Okay, something to think about. Okay. Going back to the what do you call it? Merch, the merch idea, because I'm doing merch. So I'll keep that in mind for sure. So what do you guys think about that? Like, do you guys care about the vaccine mandate? Does it even matter to you all? Apparently a ton of people came who were already vaccinated. So, but do you guys feel like a government should be able to require a vaccine from its population? What are your thoughts on that? Do you think they should be allowed to require that? I know some people said no. Some people seem to not think it's an issue at all. Goes back to the, oh, wow. So my nephew is on the live and he thinks the vaccine mandate should stay. Why do you think the vaccine mandate should stay, Jaden? Let me hear your thoughts on that, on why you think that mandate should stay. So yeah, I think this is an interesting topic because I think a lot of times it depends on who your sphere of influence is, who you hear talking about it. A couple things for me on this. So I've heard two different arguments, many different arguments on either side. So one thing to take into consideration that that science is showing is that the variants tend to be coming from those who are unvaccinated, right? So that's one thing. However, the challenge is that people who are vaccinated can still pass on the virus and can still contract it, right? And technically, you tend to have less antibodies to fight it than if you actually got COVID without getting the vaccine, right? So there are some of the arguments, right? It's like, what's the purpose of forcing everybody to do it? If you can still get it, you can still pass it. But then one of the answers to that is the variants, which are still getting people very sick. Some of the other variants are there because a bunch of people aren't vaccinated, right? So those are some of the arguments to it. So one of the arguments is that people are being careless. There's a lot of cases, but the cases, unfortunately, would still be going up because this vaccine is not a cure-all. It actually doesn't stop the vaccine from passing, doesn't stop the virus from passing from person to person. Also, by the way, let me just say this. I'm not an expert by any means, and I am not advocating one way or another. I want to be very clear on that because I know YouTube gets really crazy when you start talking about this subject. I forgot about that. And I just want to be very clear. I am not spreading misinformation. YouTube, do not shadow ban me. Do not take away my channel, because YouTube can get crazy with this stuff. But the thing is that and this is obviously public knowledge, that the vaccine does not stop the spread. It's supposed to dramatically decrease the potential for the spread, right? And that's what they're saying. And then booster shots are required, just like the flu and some other things that, viruses that can stay in your system for a while. But then your bodies develop antibodies. But then they stops after a while, and then you have to try to fight it off again. So okay. So Kwame says no, they should be able to keep the mandate or remove the mandate. What do you mean, Kwame? What do you think? Which one or the other? Let me know which one you think. Makia says they already require yellow fever vaccine, so there's precedence. Yes, there is. That's a good point. So this is something that came up too. This is another conversation that I've been talking to other people about, because I got the yellow fever vaccine before I was ever any vaccine hesitant or had any thoughts or ideas about vaccines. But one of the things that people are saying in terms of the this COVID-19 vaccine is the amount of time that it's been around and the length of time that people have gotten a chance to see the long-term effects of a vaccine that was created within 12 months. I guess within 8 months or 9 months, trials happened within that time frame, and it was live and out on the presses within 12 to 14 months. So some people do worry about there potentially being long-term effects, right? Not necessarily saying that some of the things that are being reported are to be discredited or to be credited. I mean, those things, I think, people need to do their own research, and that means peer-reviewed research, right? And so most of the peer-reviewed research does talk about the fact that there are certain things that happen, that can happen when you have comorbidities with the vaccine, but also they happen with COVID-19 without the vaccine. Like if you don't have the vaccine, the comorbidities, you still have these same issues. The propensity for getting these things are increased, right? And so there's peer-reviewed results on basically saying, yes, it can happen with the vaccine, but also it happens when you don't get the vaccine, you get the virus itself, right? Most of the things that can happen as a negative side effect of having the vaccine also happen if you don't have the vaccine, right? And you get COVID. So that's one of the things that's an argument. But one of the other things that people say is the vaccine, right? Like vaccine mandates are already in place to travel to West Africa. You have to have a yellow fever vaccine in order to travel to West Africa. And but the yellow fever vaccine's been around for longer, and people have had the opportunity to see the longer term effects of the COVID, the yellow fever vaccine. So people might be a little bit more comfortable knowing something like that has been around for quite some time. People have been taking that vaccine for extended periods of time. And so there's also probably been the opportunity to maybe modify it and make changes to it over time to make it better or work better within people's systems. You have more people with different types of DNA, different types of ailments taking it, and you're learning about the potential effects that it could have on more different types of people's bodies, right? So that's one of the arguments against the fact that, like, yeah, there's a yellow fever vaccine, so there is precedent, but the yellow fever vaccine has been around longer. That's one of the arguments that people make. But that is a good point. They do already require a vaccine to enter West Africa. Foreigners are still required, Spear Warrior is saying. It looks so. If you're not a Ghanaian resident or a Ghanaian citizen, it looks like you're still required to get the vaccine. Royalty saying no mandates, like Mr. Bounce said. The vax bullying, especially without proof of safety. Spear Warrior says, are you a resident because of Sierra Leone passport? No. So good question, Spear Warrior. I am not a resident of Ghana because of my Sierra Leone passport. that only allows me to come here without a visa. The Sierra Leone passport allows me to come to Ghana without a visa, and I could stay for up to 90 days without a visa. And then I have to go back and renew my stay, and I have to just so often renew my stay. And if not, then you have to pay a penalty each month for the longer you overstay your time. So that's just how it works here. It's not even that much. I can't remember how much it is, but you're supposed to renew it. I became a resident, went through the process of becoming a resident because I happen to have a job here in Ghana. And so they helped me go through that process of becoming a resident. So I did that, which makes things a little bit easier. You know, having a resident card here makes other things easier. Spear Warrior says, I'm against vax. Kwame says, I don't agree with a forced vaccine. Cicely was about to send a link. So I'll click on the link once you send it. So what do we got? So Bree Anhall says, I've had COVID 3 times now. I'm unvaccinated. People shouldn't be forced to vaccinate. Yeah, I mean, it's, that's one of the things that people say, right? Personal choice. You shouldn't be forced to vaccinate. Now, I will say, and this was something that came up, and Bree mentioned this here, the yellow fever is once, and yellow fever does stop you from getting the yellow fever vaccine. Just like, as far as I understand, like a hepatitis C vaccine prevents you from getting hepatitis C. And so it makes sense, right? You vaccinate and then you don't get it. I think the issue that many people take with the COVID vaccine, and let's subtract all the conspiracy theories, because right now most of them are theories. Like remove all of those, right? Just to look at the vaccine itself, it's like a flu shot in the sense that it doesn't protect you from getting it. Right. So, the flu shot is something that they say you should take every year, right? You should get the flu shot every year because it usually prevents against the most popular version of the flu the previous year, right? That's the way I understood it to be, is since going back to my days being a nurse's aide. Yes, at one point in time, I was a nurse's aide, guys, and I worked as a nurse's aide, had a nurse's aide license for 3 years, from 2001 to 2004, and then it expired. But yeah, so from my understanding, that is how the flu vaccine works now, or the flu shot. Now, keep in mind, it does not prevent you from getting the flu. You can still get another version of another flu when you get the flu shot. And they still say you should take it every year. It looks like the COVID-19 vaccine is going to be a lot like the flu shot, where you'll have to get it, and then you'll have to get boosters each year to try to prevent you from getting, to try to reduce your risk of getting COVID in the future and reduce the risk of spreading COVID. It doesn't stop you from getting it, right? So there are certain vaccines that eliminate something from entering your body. There are other vaccines that seem to be hinders some of the potential effects, but it doesn't stop you from getting it or spreading it. So that's a good conversation so far. Hopefully I am articulating myself well with the information that I have. And I'm trying to be impartial and just say what I understand the arguments on either side are. So let me know what you guys think of the conversation so far. But I like to get people's opinions on this, because this is really interesting stuff. I just hope YouTube doesn't try to like shut me down or anything. All right, so I'll wait for more comments and questions to come in on this particular topic. These were the 2 topics I wanted to bring up, and to get your thoughts on these things, right? Because coming from the US, right, one of the things that I found was interesting is that personal freedoms and personal liberties is something that people hold in really high regard in the US, which is why mandates countrywide are very unusual and very difficult to do. Even when it came to like the lockdowns in the very beginning, it was up to the governors to decide if they were actually going to implement the lockdowns or not. Whereas when in Ghana, right, and when I was even in Sierra Leone, they told me like when they instituted the lockdown, it was countrywide. It didn't matter what region you were in, you were on lockdown, right? And so that's just something to think about, right? It's just that there's a difference in the way of things and the way of being here versus in the West. So on that note, or not on that note, switching gears, I am doing a live this coming Sunday. As I mentioned, content this coming week, this coming month of February is going to be focused a lot on love because of Valentine's Day and things like that, dating and love and all that kind of stuff. So a couple of pieces of content that I put out, not all the pieces of content will be about that, but I'll do some interviews, I'll do some lives. Okay, so Cicely's saying when she tries to put the link in, it gets removed. So the link she was trying to share. Well, Cicely, thanks anyway. I mean, I think we got the answer from My Joy Online. So I was able to get the link there. I guess on Instagram Live is not an issue. So yeah, but that's I don't know why sometimes it does that. YouTube Live does that when you try to put links sometimes. I think what they're trying to do is prevent link spamming. But unfortunately, it doesn't allow you to then present something that somebody from your audience is giving you, which would be ideal. So yeah, but thank you anyway. If anything, you know what you could do is you could put the link in the comments once the video is back live. Sorry, when the video goes back as a replay, you could potentially put it there. Okay, so yeah, so I'm going live with Mariama Forbes this Sunday. And we're going to be taking all your questions. People have a lot of questions about dating. There's a lot of new people on these lives here. I've done a couple of lives about dating. If you guys know Niger or Nice Corner, we did a live on dating, what her life it's like. It's been like dating here, what it's been like for me. And then I did another live about it. And so we're going to be doing another one. But this one is going to be questions from Mariama's audience and also questions from all of the new subscribers and new live viewers who come on the lives, because there are always new names that I see here every week. And so you guys have the opportunity to ask me any of the questions you might have about what my dating life has been like here in West Africa, dating in Ghana, dating in Sierra Leone, dating between the two, long distance dating, because that can happen here, and dating within your country as well. So all of that is possible and all of that can be discussed if you guys want to know what it's been like for me. So I'm going to put the call out there for you guys to ask your questions, whatever questions you might have. I'm more than happy to answer. I'm an open book now. I used to kind of like not talk about my dating experience here, but I'm more than happy to talk about it now because I think it's helpful to people, right? I think people always want to know what it's like, especially if you're planning to visit here or move here. You know, you guys want to know what it's like. And I've dated locals for sure. And I've dated diasporans, and I can speak to the differences and what I saw, what I like, what I don't like, all that kind of stuff. So all that's coming. So this Sunday, so I'm going to go live, my regularly scheduled time next Monday, but this coming Sunday, before my regularly scheduled live, I'm doing another live as well. So if you guys are interested to hear anything about that, join that live. Back to the topic from this call. Spear Warrior says you can get a yellow fever vaccine waiver. Okay. And he's saying, or they're saying, Spear Warrior saying, I think it'll be money well spent. Yeah, I mean, I think that is a possibility. It's something that can happen. I'm getting a WhatsApp message. Let's see what this is, who it is. Oh, it's my driver for tomorrow. My driver's coming to pick me up. I'm back on schedule, guys. Back in the office, back in Ghana. Life is back to regularly scheduled programming. It was a little off for about a month and a half, but now we're back. All right, cool. So look, we're about an hour and 9 minutes in now. We've had a very spirited discussion, a lot of questions, a lot of comments, a lot of thoughts. Anybody else have any thoughts, questions, comments on this whole topic that we're talking about here? Any thoughts? Okay, so Bree says, I think if people are given the freedom to have abortions, then people should be given the right to not take the vaccine if they choose not to have it. Okay, I do think these are two completely different topics, and here's why. I think the idea of the vaccine is supposed to be to help curb the spread because it was a deadly virus, whereas abortions are more seen as an individual and their own personal decisions that don't necessarily impact a much broader group of humans, right? The damage of what they're doing impacts a smaller group of people. So I do think it's different. I know this is an argument that's made a lot on TV. I hear a lot of people make this argument a lot, like in regards to that, which, by the way, Roe v. Wade may be struck down by the Supreme Court anyway, right? So that may actually happen, and it may change the way things are done in the United States. But we'll see if that actually happens. But there's a possibility of that. So there are actually some people who disagree with the fact that you should even be able to do that. But I've heard that argument before as well. I think that there's just a counter argument to that, that, you know, the termination of pregnancies don't have as broad of an impact, like in terms of the individual doing it versus maybe the vaccine, at least is what they're trying to say. So Cicely says, every government is entitled to do what they want, but we have personal choices as how to navigate self. The CDC have cautioned governments not to do that. The science does not show that unvaccinated are creating variants. So I don't know enough to be able to dispute that. I have just read a bit, and my understanding was that. But again, I am not an expert. What I understand is that what I read was peer reviewed. So, you know, I don't know if the broad science strongly is enough to say that. But yeah, from what I understand is that is the case. The CDC has now recognized those who were previously infected, that they are now recognized the same as a vaccinated person. Okay, I meant the WHO, who has cautioned countries not to require entry. Yeah, so one of the other things that I think most people know is that if you've had COVID before, generally you have the antibodies, higher antibodies actually than what you get when you have to take the vaccine, because the vaccine, of course, is not the actual virus, right? So your body has had to fight the actual virus, and if you've survived and lived through it, you know, it does have a different impact on your immune system and your body, and so you actually have higher tolerance for it once you've already had it, more than if you've gotten a vaccine. So, you know, that is what it is. But I think the reason why things are being done the way they're being done is because when it comes to trying to make policies for a population of 300,000 or whatever, the easy route is just to say everyone should get vaccinated. And instead of making stipulations for people on the margins, right? Because I think I don't know what the total number of COVID cases are compared to the total population, but I think they prefer to just say vaccinations, just tell everyone to get vaccinations, because it's just the way, from my understanding, okay, so I'm seeing 332 million people around the world, okay, have had COVID. I wonder how many people in the United States. But like, if you think about it, right, it's easier to just give one directive than to have exceptions to the rule, right? So 57 million COVID cases, documented COVID cases in the US. The US has 300 and something thousand people, right? So, sorry, 300 something million people and 57 million people. So, you know, so 1/6 of the US population has had it, and which is actually quite a large number. But I think they just prefer to just say, look, everyone get the vaccine, which I don't know if I agree with, you know, blunt force like that. I think everything should have nuance because we live in a world of nuance. But they just decide this is the one thing for everyone and just leave it at that. And then that becomes the narrative, right? Like that's just the easiest thing to do. Cicely's saying apples and oranges between the yellow fever and the COVID-19 vaccination. Okay. Sydney's saying, well, let me set you straight, my brother. This is not a virus. COVID is not a virus. Nowhere near to be. Okay. All right. Call a virus because a virus from nature grows a straight line. Okay. I mean, okay, look, it technically is still a virus, even if it's like, you know, some of the people talk about gain of function research, right? In the Wuhan lab, most people are starting to be under the suspicion that that is how it got out. Now, some people think it was on purpose. Many people just think it was accidental. But gain of function research is something that has been done and practiced at the Wuhan lab at one point in time in the past, where, you know, you test to see if it jumps from animal to animal. You test it with different proteins and stuff to see if it mutates and it grows. And some people believe that this was SARS and MERS that was being gain of function research was being done on it. And that is what created this. But technically, that's still a virus, right? It's just an enhanced virus, right? So correct me if I'm wrong, Sydney, but to me, I think if it's still a virus that maybe gain of function research has been done on, it's still a virus, right? Because even whether it's enhanced in a lab or not, or if it's naturally occurring, the natural occurrences in nature still have very similar processes in terms of what happens to them. And so I think that that's why it would still be considered a virus. I mean, let me know if I'm getting something wrong there, but that's what I understand it to be. Cicely says, look at the Canadian truckers and the global demonstrations. Oh, for people being forced. Yeah. A lot of people don't like to be forced to do anything, which I think is a big part of this, right? Nobody wants to be forced to do anything. Shout out to my nephew, Jaden, with the numbers and the facts, helping me out here. What's up, Jaden? Smart guy. All right. We are now at 1 hour and 17 minutes. Are there any other thoughts, comments, concerns about anything we've talked about today? 2081 DC joined. What's up? Yeah, any questions, comments, concerns? Looks like some people are dropping off the YouTube live. Some people have been dropping off the Instagram live. But let me know if you guys have any questions. We're going to call it a night soon so I can get back to work and prepare for a long day at the office tomorrow. I got a bunch of work I got to do tonight. And I'm probably going to watch one episode of Ozark tonight. I'm hooked. Season 4, I think it is. Great show. If you guys aren't familiar, check it out. All right, cool. I am Mr. Marcus has a question for me about the house project. Any updates on the house project? Absolutely. So check out my monthly vlog that I'm going to do about my last month in Sierra Leone. I will get all into the details of what's happened there. And I definitely had to fire a contractor. My second contractor has been fired. But with that, though, I got a ton of work done recently, which reminds me, I actually have to send another payment. Man, this thing is a cash killer, man. It kills your cash building a house in Sierra Leone, but it's definitely worth it. But yeah, so I have to send payment to my guy. But so all the walls are up. The foundation is done. The walls are up. We're about to start putting the roof on, the roof. So by the end of February, there will be a roof. It has to sit for 21 days while it concretes and the concrete hardens and it stays strong. And so that we'll be able to complete the project. But once that's done, then we finish up the electrical. We put the windows, the doors, and the toilets and the tiles in, the plumbing, set all the plumbing up. And by the time April rolls around, my plan is to be able to stay there for a couple of weeks, if not 5, maybe 6 weeks, when I'm there for the end of April through my birthday and probably into June, like I did last year. So that's the plan. But yeah, so stay tuned for the video this week. I'm going to share I'm going to share pictures and videos because I did go there in person and I recorded and walked through it all, and I'll show you all of that. You'll get a chance to see how things progressed throughout the month of January. Cool. Jose Cruz says school is out. What's good? Jose, the live is almost done. Unfortunately, I think you missed it. I think you were listening in, but you didn't get a chance to add your opinions and thoughts. I would have loved to hear from you too, because I know you have some interesting viewpoints. All right, guys. So we are at 1 hour and 20 minutes. Thanks, guys, for joining. Are there any more questions before we go? Okay, so Mr. Marcus is saying, I have a project in Ghana as well. What app do you use to send cash? I use WorldRemit. It's a good question, actually. And did I do a video on WorldRemit? Did I forget to do a video on WorldRemit? I'm gonna do a video on like how to set up WorldRemit. I think I actually did. But basically, WorldRemit's like Western Union or MoneyGram, which is two ways that people send money here in West Africa. WorldRemit's another one, but they just have a better conversion rate. And I just like the process of WorldRemit better. So I've been using WorldRemit. That's how I pay my social media manager, who was in Nigeria. She's now in Scotland, getting her master's degree. But my social media manager, I was paying her in Nigeria through WorldRemit. And I actually send payment to a virtual assistant that I have who does my customer service for my e-commerce store. She also gets paid through WorldRemit as well. And then like my housing payments and all of that in Sierra Leone, I do it through WorldRemit. So I definitely would recommend checking out WorldRemit. So, you know, remittance is what's called when people from the diaspora who move from a continent go to somewhere in the diaspora and send money back. It's called remittance. So the website or the app that I use is called WorldRemit, where people send money back home, which is what I do. Cool. All right. We are starting to lose some of the live folks. So it looks like we're ready to wrap this thing up. Any last minute questions or comments before we go? I'm going to leave it open for one more question or comment before we go. Any questions, comments? I'll give it another minute or so. Spear Warrior says questions about visiting Sierra Leone. Shoot, ask the questions before we go. I'll answer your couple of questions about visiting Sierra Leone before we go. So go ahead and shoot your questions and I'll answer them. Okay, No Narrative is here. What's up, No Narrative? Sure, shout out to you, first of all, for joining. She says, hey, Joe, I'm sure you're about to give the countdown and sign off. Just saying hi. What's up, No Narrative? Thanks for joining once again. Disco Den says, Ozark and Mary Jane is a great combination. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Spear Warrior, what are your questions about Sierra Leone? Put them up so I can answer them before we go. We're sticking around to give you your answers. Since you had a couple questions, let me know what they are. I'll answer them before we go. Anyone who stuck around this long is dedicated and committed, and I appreciate you. Disco Dan Diablo, anything? Not Disco Dan, sorry. You wrote already. Sorry. Spear Warrior, before we go. Maybe there's a bit of a delay, so I'll give you some time. But if you have multiple questions, you can just put one first and then put the next one next, so I can start answering one question while you work on typing the second one. All right, Mr. Marcus says, I have Sierra Leone ancestry. How do I get citizenship? Great question. So you actually have to travel to Sierra Leone, and you have to prove that you have the ancestry by showing the results of that. And you'll be able to get your citizenship. When you travel to Sierra Leone, you just have to go through the process. Trying to see if I can find anything specific about this. Guidelines for African diaspora accession to passports. Okay, here we go. I'm going to send this list. This is from, okay, VSL, Visit Sierra Leone. So this is the site I was telling you guys to look at. They have information about all this kind of stuff, which is actually really cool. Here we go. So click on that link right there. I am Mr. Marcus. And No Narrative says she's going to catch the replay with a glass of wine. Shout out to you. I love that. Yes, please do. All right, so I am Mr. Marcus. That is the link you want to go to read more about what you can do. But a letter of request should be addressed to the government of Sierra Leone through the Monuments and Relics Commission, indicating an intent on the subject matter. The letter should include your full name as indicated on your passport. That's 1. 2, proof of descent to Sierra Leone should be done to prove either maternal or paternal lineage. Please note that this should be done from either African ancestry or any other DNA company that explicitly states maternal or paternal lineage. A copy of that result kit report and certificate of ancestry must be submitted. Live birth certificate, proof of change of name, or live birth certificate where applicable. Biodata page is presented on citizenship report. References, each applicant must submit 2 notarized reference letters. Wow, from a person, reputation from their stare of residence. So personal lawyers, primary care physician, banker, employer, educational institution. Each applicant must submit a certified state and federal police report. The government will do a thorough background check of all applicants. The government will also check the authenticity of your African ancestry certificate and any other certificate submitted. 8, it is mandatory for all applicants to be Sierra Leone at least 5 days before the slated date of citizenship conferment for fingerprinting. Immigration interviews and other administrative processes. Applicants have also mandated to attend a 2 to 3 day heritage, civic, education, and business investment workshop. With the above cleared, a request will be made by the Monuments and Relics Commission to the Immigration Department and onward passport processing. And then an oath of allegiance to the country, like pledge allegiance kind of thing, has to happen. Okay. I know I lost a bunch of people reading through all of that. Read the link that I sent, and you will get more information on how to become a Sierra Leone citizen if you have Sierra Leone heritage. But the reason why you want to do this, for any of you out there who is thinking about doing like 23andMe or African ancestry, and if you have done it, the reason why you would want to see if you have Sierra Leone heritage and get a Sierra Leone passport is for everything I just said before. It allows you to travel around West Africa without getting a visa. It makes life so much easier to be able to travel without any restrictions or have to pay for extra visa. Your COVID tests are also cheaper. I only pay $50 for my COVID test as opposed to $150. So I am Mr. Marcus is saying thanks. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, guys. So it looks like, unfortunately, Spear's question didn't come through. I don't know what happened there, Spear Warrior. But you can always ask your questions on the next live. Yeah. So that's all for now, guys. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you comment on the live replay. Make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, and hit all so you get notified every time a new video comes out. And of course, if you know anybody who's planning to travel to Sierra Leone, build a house in Sierra Leone, travel or move to Ghana, then share this video, share my profile, share the YouTube channel so that they can be informed as you all have been. Spear Warrior is saying I'm back. Okay, Spear Warrior, I was just about to sign off, but it looks like you're back and you're about to ask the question. So you can ask your question quick. It looks like it's going to be for an audience of much fewer people now since I was just about to sign off and people started jumping off. But for those who have stuck around, Spear Warrior's questions might be very relevant to you and might help you. So what I was saying, Spear Warrior, is just ask one question first so I can answer that while you're working on your second question. So that way it doesn't delay if you're typing both your questions at the same time. So we'll give it another second or so for Spear Warrior's question to come up. And then I will call it alive once we can answer those questions. And Spear Warrior, if we don't get the question in the next minute or so, you can just put it in the replay. Just go back to the replay and I can answer your question on the replay if we're not able to answer it on the live here. Because it looks like people are starting to jump off and they're ready to head out. So I will call it a night very soon myself. Okay. So Spear Warrior is saying, best place to stay if I'm going for 30 days. So it wouldn't be a hotel because those places don't have like good monthly rates. There is a realtor that I have that I can put you in touch with locally who can help you find some places. So let me do that. So Spear Warrior saying that the service is bad. Okay. So respond to the replay. Write a comment in the replay, Spear Warrior, and I'll put their information as a reply to your comment. I get anxiety when I start coughing because I know what happened the last time I had a cough. COVID happened the last time. Okay, No Narrative says, quick question. In what way can you accommodate for first-time visitors to Ghana? Curious, visiting in the summer. In what way can I accommodate? I got you. That's a great question. On a public platform, I'm not sure that I want to say because then what I'll have is a bunch of people asking for accommodations. So what I can say is this: I am looking to try to get people together this summer. So we could potentially get people together and have everybody, like, we could do this in person. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'd like to do. I can't make any promises in terms of accommodations, but maybe we can talk about, personal Airbnbs and things like that. There's a potential for that. So I haven't set it up yet or anything like that, but I am thinking about Airbnb being a place that I have access to. So there's a possibility for that. But No Narrative, why don't you DM me on IG or message me on YouTube, or you can email me and we'll talk about it a little bit more. But I am thinking about doing a Airbnb for a friend of mine who has a place. So we could potentially do that. Personal accommodations might be tough considering now I'm a public figure, sort of. And so, there's that. All right, cool. All great questions. Good comments, good conversation. Spear Warrior saying thanks. I'm glad I answered your questions. All right, guys. Thank you all for joining, as always. And as I was saying before, make sure you share this with anybody who's planning to move and or visit. So with that, I'll see you all on the next video.